It's so funny. Sometimes people think that so-and-so is lucky that their company did this, and wow, they're really fortunate that this happened. And yet that same person does it again, and then does it again, and does it again. Well, Jason Radisson, he's been a part of several unicorns, and he's helped multiple companies scale to extreme heights. And you might say he's lucky, but actually this is a pattern. It's not just a one-time thing. He's done it over and over, and he's doing it again with his company, Movo. Well, he came in to share exactly what he does to take a company from nothing and scale it to be a unicorn. So if that's something you're interested in, check out Jason's story here.
Welcome to Scale Your SaaS, the podcast that gives you proven techniques and formulas for boosting your revenue and achieving your dream exit. Brought to you by a guy who's done just that multiple times. Here's your host, Matt Wolach.
Hello, welcome. This is Scale Your SaaS, and I'm really glad that you're here. So thank you for being here. By the way, if this is your first time to the show, we are here to help you do just that, scale your SaaS. We want to make sure we're marketing, that we're getting a lot of leads. We want to make sure we're closing those leads. We have an effective process to do so, and we want to build our team so that that team is very strong and capable and can do all that stuff for us. If you want any of those things, definitely subscribe to the show right now. Hit that button, and you'll be notified of all the future episodes where we bring you some of the best people in the world who have done this before, who know how to scale a company and share their experience and wisdom with you. And one of those people who certainly knows how to scale a business is with us today, and I'm super excited about it. I've got Jason Radisson with me. Jason, how you doing?
Hey, Matt. Doing well. How about you? Great to be on the show.
Oh, I'm super glad to have you. I can't wait for this conversation because of some of the amazing things that you've done. I'm just really looking forward to it. So let me make sure everybody knows who you are and what you're all about, Jason. So Jason, he's the CEO and founder at Movo. Movo is human capital management for the frontline. It's offering an engaging mobile employee experience powered by the latest AI features. Jason himself, he is a serial unicorn breeder with over 20 years of experience in strategy, operations, and growth. He has scaled multiple tech unicorns that provide help and improve standards for millions of workers. He is super passionate about using mobile technology and algorithms to empower and uplift the frontline workforce, which he believes is the foundation of the economy and society. Jason, so cool what you've done, and I'm really excited for our conversation. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, excited to jump in.
Cool. So tell me, what have you been up to lately? What's going on?
Well, the company that I founded a few years back is called Movo. And as you mentioned, we're building a solution for the frontline workforce. And largely what Movo is it's taking the inspiration of the kind of real-time platform that you have in the gig economy and bringing that technology to traditional companies so that if you have 10,000, 5,000, 50,000, 100,000 workers out there, professionals out there in the field, in your different facilities. With Movo, you're able to run that workforce, task that workforce, automatically schedule and roster that workforce, automatically cross-train them and do a bunch of really cool things, all in a super engaging mobile app.
Super slick. Very cool. And I'm sure very needed, but I want to go back. So how did this idea come about? Where did Movo come from? We'll be right back. Hey, it's Matt. If you're anything like me, you check your website analytics and you see people coming to your site, but you have no idea who they are or what they're doing. Plus, why aren't they converting into leads? That's why I now use Leadfeeder. This thing is slick. Leadfeeder is a tool that shows me which companies are coming to my site, plus which pages they visited and in which order. So I can see their interest level just by what they're doing. You can use it too. You can track your site visitors' behavior and integrate the data from Leadfeeder with your CRM that helps make your lead generation efforts more targeted. The result, website traffic converts to sales. Click the link in the description and go to leadfeeder.com for a free demo and get a free extended premium trial when you let the rep know that you heard Leadfeeder through the Scale Your SaaS podcast. Finally know who's visiting your site with Leadfeeder. Do it. And we're back.
Well, all the way back, I worked a lot of these jobs. I grew up poor and, very bootstrapped. And I had this experience as child of a 16-year-old single mom and sort of the work that we did in our family to get ourselves through school and to get ahead were a lot of these jobs, semi-skilled and skilled work, where the usual challenges are there. How do I get the next bit of training? How do I maximize my schedule and frankly, my wage per hour? What are the different kinds of things that I can do? That's been some of the inspiration, and I think, and a constant theme in my life. And I had this real sort of curiosity and built a set of skills around applied math, and that goes all the way back to essentially early elementary school, and then all the way through graduate school. And I sort of emerged from graduate school and that kind of training in an era where the internet was sort of just rolling out. We'd obviously been through sort of the PC, rollout and people finding very useful things to do with PC technologies. And then suddenly the internet was there. And I was very interested in sort of these applied math problems and database problems and, the power of sort of the systems and algorithms to dramatically impact the success of a business and even set you up to be an entirely different company than your competitor based on your use of your own data and using these technologies. The old days, things used to be batch processed. We would run things on mainframes and other early systems overnight. We would recalculate all of our algorithms and sort of start the morning out in North America with a fresh set of scores. These days, everything's real time, and it has been for pretty much 15 years or so. And as we got into the gig economy, I really saw this opportunity to take the technology further and really sort of, there's a lot of practices of the gig economy that aren't so applicable or aren't always the best way to go about things. Take shortcuts with workers, hack regulations in countries, a lot of things that you can sort of do without. And what I wanted to do was take the best practices and the best technology of the world and bring it to traditional companies so that they could gain this same kind of frictionless employee experience and operations that we benefited from in the gig economy. But just in like a nutshell, for folks out there listening, like the way you run a city in the gig economy is you have a team of operations, research, industrial engineer kind of types, maybe some MBAs in the room, depending, but a team of 3, 4, 5 individuals in a room covered with monitors where you might have 1 million real-time employees doing things. And the system will task them out, the system will pay them, the system will schedule them, and the team is essentially in this control room with situational awareness of everything that's going on in the company or in that particular deployment. That's what I wanted to bring to big hospitals, big manufacturers, big retailers, and so on.
I love it. And I know that that's super needed. I'm glad you are doing this for everybody. So I want to dive into those early days. So you have this idea, you launch it.
Yeah.
How do you find your first customers? How do you convince these big organizations that this new little guy startup can help them?
I think, we benefited from a tailwind. Our very first customers were 2019. The team and I, we weren't full-time. We were sort of experimenting around. We'd written a little bit of software. And we started working with customers that we knew that had been hospitality customers that we interfaced with at Uber. And, large kind of venues and places that employed a lot of people and had all kinds of worker challenges. That's where we started. Those were our experiments in 2019. 2020 in January, a bunch of us went full time and we were doubling down and we were going to go after then the logistics industry. And we saw sort of like e-commerce fulfillment as a big area of the economy. Like no one had sort of figured out the warehouse worker and, from Amazon on down. And we were going to go after that problem. And just as we started diving in, we signed a big deal with Amazon and the pandemic hit, literally mid-March of 2020. And we spent most of the pandemic helping large companies fill their rosters back up and essentially deploying our hiring automation or onboarding automation technology across different markets where, companies had been super struggling and were super strapped for labor. And we had a point in that early development where we'd written $200 million worth of orders in a few weeks. Pandemic tailwinds, and for a small company, we didn't have the capital to support that. We didn't have the team to support that. That's how crazy the market was at that point, and the need was at that point. We knew we were onto something. And over the course of the last couple of years, we've hired or helped our clients hire 700,000 people in the U.S. So definitely some good learnings, and gave us a lot of data to sort of bootstrap everything else that we've done, warm up all of our algos and warm up all of our systems. And, it's really from there, we've expanded out into some of the other big sort of AI challenges and applications that are out there. And task, as I've mentioned, is a really big one. If you're a large employer, sort of being able to change end caps in 17,000 places simultaneously and follow up on it is something that's very useful to you. Task management and geo-aware task management and real-time task management is a big set of capabilities of the platform. And we're also very excited and very humbled by the scheduling problem. It's incredibly difficult to optimize the scheduling of nurses in a large hospital chain or other clinical staff. And, it's one thing to sort of have the data. It's another thing to have the user interactions, that employee interaction where, an employee feels super comfortable taking tomorrow off because they're sick or because they have something with a family member, and not really having to worry about, oh my God, is it going to be embarrassing? Do I have to go have this conversation? Am I going to be indebted to some other colleague who's going to jump in for me? We've sort of made that it's actually one of those experiences where working with the AI is much more comfortable than working with humans, because you can just kind of, with a click of a button and not worry about it. We find it very empowering, and certainly the employees on our platform find it very empowering to have that kind of flexibility. So we brought gig-style flexibility to a traditional role by giving people with our scheduling automation this kind of empowerment and self-service options. UX was really challenging. I think, the problem itself, it is a big database problem. There's a lot of change management involved. UX has been one of those things where we're just obsessed about it because it's so important that the experience is not complex, that you can just sort of think about what you need to have your schedule do, and with a couple of clicks, it's done. And that's the employee experience that we keep building on. But, I've talked a lot. Those are several of the sort of AI-powered use cases that are out there. And I think if you're listening to this and, your CEO or your board is saying to you, go do something with generative AI before the competitor does, the use cases are there. Will it be generative AI? Maybe there's a chat element to it. I think what's much more important is, are you using your data in some kind of smart system, some kind of algorithmic system to really power your business? And what are those big levers and use cases that you've got? And, I really believe with all the work that I've been doing these last couple of decades in the space, every company has a couple of algorithms that will tremendously ring the cash register if you tap into them. They're in every company. It's just, it's few and far between are the companies that realize it, have the insight, and then have the leadership and wherewithal to actually make it happen at scale within their organization.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree totally. I think that data is there. It's just a matter of, hey, can you grab it? How do you sell it? How do you package it? All that stuff. So I think it's really insightful. When did you decide that you needed to go get money? You needed to fundraise and want to fuel this fire that was growing. How did that happen?
Yeah, great question. Funny story, because I think where we were in 2020, and we had been sort of experimenting around in 2019, and we just sort of kind of heads down, sort of experienced operators and product builders and company builders. And, so 2020, we had this huge deal with Amazon and, George Floyd, and we were sort of like in the thick of like the labor problems in the US. And like I said, like, I think part of the beauty of working in a client relationship like Amazon, for all the challenges and whatnot, they really had a wage pricing mentality that really resonated with a gig economy team like ours. So in every gig economy sort of city, regional leadership, you always have sort of, again, operations research, but it's with a little bit of a financial flavor where what you're running are wage pricing experiments all the time, parallel stacked, orthogonal testing of which are the incentives that if I layer them on in this way. And for anyone who's seen like, hey, why is Lyft doing like this incentive pricing this weekend, right? Those are the kinds of programs that I'm talking about. And when we were working in 2020 and sort of just starting to ramp up and the economy was just in such a crazy place mid-year, we were running hundreds of those experiments a week with warehouse workers in North America. And I think by the time, at that point, we were saying like, we're onto something here. Like, we're sort of building the graph of labor in North America. And as we got for entry level, right? And as we got deeper and deeper into it, we just started getting crazy inbound in sort of like Q3, Q4 of 2020. And people were like, wait a minute, like you guys are like supplying warehouse labor in North America in the middle of this pandemic. Like, where did I just was telling investors like, luck is like, I think almost half of the battle. We just happened to be working on the problem we were working on. If the pandemic hadn't happened, I don't know, we might have bootstrapped the company, because we certainly weren't looking for funding. And I think at that point, we started talking to several investors. We had all these early conversations. And, actually, here's what we would do if we did raise now. And that's what sort of take the baseline plan for the company, but then add on to it venture funding. And, we did quite a bit of a raise at seed. We were already far along. So, we were able to raise at a much higher valuation probably than somebody who was just starting out and doing a pre-seed or a small seed. We raised over $8 million in our seed. And that really was the foundation for us to build out our technology to really kind of ramp up.
So you've been a part of some awesome companies that you've helped really scale and grow, become unicorns. So Uber, 99 Taxis, Rappi. What similarities have you taken from those, or what were your learnings from those experiences that you're now applying to this organization, helping it get where it's got to be?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think one of my first learnings or first principles, I think, is product market fit. And I think my particular learning from product market fit in the gig economy is the capital markets don't know any better than the entrepreneurs, and some of the learnings aren't obvious to the entire world until a few years in. And the example I would give is just the terrible product market fit of the gig economy in North America. The only way that Uber and others can make money now is by cutting worker wages by, or worker percentage of revenue has gone from, in my day, it used to be 20 or 25% was the take rate. So workers were taking home 75 or 80% of the total fare. These days it's 30, it's 40. And that's why the gig economy companies are now profitable in North America. It's kind of a sorrowful sort of turn of events and sort of development, but that's, the alternative would be they wouldn't be viable because who can really underwrite that much, sort of negative EBITDA for however long, right? So
true.
I think what I mean to say with that is there are places in the world where the gig economy is tremendously profitable. And we didn't know. We had an inkling, I think, as we started to internationalize. And, I was very active on sort of the international fronts of the gig economy, working with DD co-founders in some projects, and particularly going over to 99 Taxis to scale up 99 Taxis. And in Brazil, even Sao Paulo and Rio are not particularly profitable. It's really the secondary cities, Porto Alegre, Belo Horizonte, Curitiba, places like that, which for North America would be huge cities. I mean, we're talking places of 3-5 million people, where the product market fit is actually smoking hot. You've got a great pool of labor that's underemployed. You've got a really strong upper middle class that doesn't have enough time, doesn't want to be driving their own car, doesn't want to be snarled in traffic, wants to just outsource that problem. And the gig economy works beautifully. And similar thing on food delivery and other delivery businesses in those kinds of cities. So you look at it and you go, why is it that the entire US venture capital industry, we're talking some really big funds, had no idea? Right. And, it sounded like great technology. Here's how it's going to work. And then hindsight's easy. You look back at it in hindsight and you go, actually, the gig economy serves as a friction remover for kind of crappy employment in a developing country. The kind of bureaucratic red tape, the kind of super inefficient labor markets that you get in a Latin American city that's been held back for years. Perfect. Bring in the gig economy, you solve that. So I think product market fit, the standard SaaS thing of like pilot it in your own backyard and, build from there. Maybe I think the overall skill that, I am learning, and I think every company that I found, every company that I scale up, I get more learnings and more insights on it. That fundamental skill is portfolio management. It's like, it really, really matters where you place your bets. And it really matters that you're running experiments continually. Very early in the history of Movo, one of the first things we did was open an office and start working in Colombia. For that very reason, I didn't want to be blindsided by, I built this North American business that the unit economics were never going to pan out, but they were fantastic in Latin America, and who knew? And here I was, 5 years of investor funds down the road before I figured that out. So I wanted to de-risk that. And there are probably a dozen other examples of kind of macro level experiments that we've run to make sure that we were kind of on track with the portfolio of the businesses and opportunities that we were managing.
Very cool. So if we kind of summarize and as we have to wrap up here, somebody else out there, they're listening to this, they're starting their company, they're in their early stages wanting to grow and achieve the type of success you've had before and now at Movo. What advice would you share for other software founders who are looking to do the same thing?
Yeah, I think it's there's this opportunity with product market fit that, I think it's beyond sort of, you need to obsess about it. It's more, stretching yourself to sort of look at, given the technology that's available in the world, what really would it take to have that product that, immediately your phone is sort of ringing off the hook. As we said in the kind of the peak of the pandemic, like we used to joke with our investors, we'd say, our hands are like literally hurting from signing so many orders. Like that's the kind of product market fit that you're looking for.
Yeah, that's great.
Everything else is a slog. And it's, meaning who wants to be in a company that's barely differentiated? It's, founding a company, running a company is too hard. So I think it's almost being maniacal about product market fit and stretching yourself and stretching the team. Like, do we really have it? Are we really thinking hard enough? Are we just doing the easy features because, that specific AI that somebody really could and should build in this industry is too hard for us right now? and stretching yourself to go and do that. If just having that bot would be, the reason that everybody would call you and would be the tremendous success of your company, going for it and really finding that degree of differentiation that's going to, is unicorn level differentiation, not just moderate, sloggy kind of differentiation and success.
Yeah, I think that's the key word right there, differentiation. Find what you can do to separate from the herd. That's awesome advice. Jason, this has been fantastic. I want to make sure everybody can learn more about what you're doing at Movo. What's the best way for them to find out or get in touch with you?
Absolutely. It's at our company website, movo.co, movo.co. You can find us also on LinkedIn by searching for Movo for our company page, and my personal page, and any of the folks on the team. That's the best way to find us.
Okay, perfect. And we'll put all that into the show notes. So if you're listening, go ahead and click there and you can grab that and go check out Movo. Jason, this has been great. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Matt, thanks for having me on. It's been a real pleasure.
Absolutely. Likewise. And everybody out there, thank you for being here again. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out on any other amazing leaders like Jason. You don't want to have to worry what you're missing out on. Well, we'll see you next time. Take care and bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Scale Your SaaS. For more help on finding great leads and closing more deals, go to mattwolach.com.